and so the mounted police were deployed, as you can see there, to try and maintain some calm there. There have been lots of different tactics and different units deployed in the area, as you can see there. Let's just join our correspondent who is there at the moment, who is joining us, Ben Ando. Ben, just what is happening now? Is the situation any calmer?
Well, I mean, there still is this ongoing standoff, which appears to be relatively static, but every now and then there is a little bit of a shift. Either the police move forward with their horses, or there seems to be a bit of a conflagration among the demonstrators. Just a short time ago, just before you came to me here, about 3 police vans drove down here at high speed with their sirens wailing and lights flashing. Maybe they're reinforcements being called in for a specific reason. Maybe they're just being called in because they're coming on duty. We don't know at the moment. But as you can see, it's reasonably static there. There is a group of probably around about 150 people as people come out of bars and clubs as they end their evening. I think lots of people are coming to see what's going on. They perhaps even heard it on the news and decided to come and have a look. And we're at the situation now where there are still some flames in that central area, which is where the bus was on fire earlier, where the police cars were set ablaze, and where a small shop, possibly a small supermarket, was set on fire earlier. But beyond that, at the moment, I think, as you can see, an uneasy standoff taking place.
And there have been different tactics. Would you say that the police are now escalating their presence on the streets now?
Well, it's always been the case that as soon as they deploy riot police with the boiler suits, the hard helmets and the clear plastic shields, that would perhaps antagonise people and represent something of an escalation. I did see some of those officers deployed. However, all they were doing was guarding some firefighters who were leaving the area, heading up this way, and then coming back in, bringing some more firefighters in. Obviously, earlier on, there were suggestions that firefighters might come under attack as they came in here to try to put out any of the flames that were here. That was perhaps why they were deployed. They certainly weren't in any kind of confrontation with any of the people who are down here, whether they're simply onlookers or demonstrators. And beyond that, what we've seen is police in regular uniforms holding a cordon, holding a line around about 50 yards south of the police station here, and then some mounted officers coming again on the police horses, around a dozen of them, again holding that line. They did make one charge forward when it appeared that fireworks were shot down the road towards them, causing a bit of a whiz and a bit of a bang. But beyond that, again, maintaining the line and simply holding things static and possibly hoping that this situation will diffuse.
Ben, I understand that the people who are marching were from the local Broadwater farm area. There is, of course, a history there, isn't there?
Well, yes, that's right. There have been riots here before, certainly in the 1980s, and a police officer, Keith Blakelock, was killed back then. This demonstration today has all stemmed from a shooting by the police of a young man in a minicab on Thursday evening. Now, in that incident, it was an attempted arrest by officers from CO19, which is the firearms unit, accompanied by police from Operation Trident, and there was some kind of gunfire. But what isn't clear is who opened fire first, who fired the first shot. Certainly 2 shots were fired by the police, at least 2 shots were fired by another weapon, and a handgun was recovered from the scene. Now, those weapons have been taken off to forensic laboratories for testing to match up bullets to guns and all that kind of stuff, but those tests take time. The difficulty is the community here want answers, and they want them now. What the IPCC is saying, and they're investigating this, is that those answers can't be given until the tests have done, and those tests take time. So you have a conflict here, which is, it seems, impossible to resolve. A community that's anxious, that's angry, that wants answers, and at the moment, tests being carried out that will give those answers, but perhaps not for some days, weeks, or even months to come.
And Ben, we know that the 2 cars that were set on fire were empty, and presumably the bus as well. Do we know if anyone has been injured this evening?
Well, at the moment, no indications that that's taken place. Certainly the police cars were empty. The officers who were in them had gone off on a foot patrol, and so those cars were effectively left unguarded. It's not yet clear whether anybody was in the bus that was set on fire. I'm sure anybody who was in that would have got out long before it was set ablaze. And again, there are no reports of any injuries in the shop that was set on fire. Beyond that, it may be there have been some very minor injuries in the scuffling that's gone on, but certainly nothing that we've heard about in terms of serious injuries to either any of the demonstrators, any of the onlookers, or any police officers.
Ben, for the time being, thank you very much indeed. Let's speak on the line now to Lyndon, who lives near the scene in Tottenham. Welcome to BBC News and thanks for joining us. Can you tell us what you have seen, Lyndon?
Well, earlier on I got caught on the high road and I was actually there when the bus was set on fire. What happened, as a crowd gathered earlier on around 8 o'clock, there were cars sort of coming along the high road, and obviously they could only go to a certain point, and they were turning around in the middle of the road, and of course the bus couldn't turn around, so the driver got out. There was no one on the bus, fortunately, and someone got inside and tried to start the bus. The alarm went off, and then next thing someone set it on fire, and within sort of 5-10 minutes the bus exploded and just reduced to basically an empty shell on the high street.
And when you say the bus exploded, how near were you to that?
I was like several yards away at the train station when all this was going on.
And what were the police doing at the time? Could you see any evidence of them on the street?
No police. Is the sort of alarming thing. There's no police evidence on the high road. The only police presence was by the police station where the demonstration occurred earlier on in the evening. But further down the high road, there's no police presence. And it's only now, like hours later, just after 11, that we've started to see police actually on the street itself. The only police presence were 2 helicopters that were buzzing around in the sky, and they were there since early this evening around 7, and I'm sure they spotted and observed that the crowds were gathering and could have done something a lot earlier on and prevent the situation from escalating. Because one alarming thing was when the fire was, the shop was set on fire and the bus was set on fire, there were actually people who were living above the shops, and